Welcome to the Malvern College podcast, where we bring together the community to explore more about life inside and outside the school from the point of view of pupils, staff and parents. Each week we'll be talking to one of the members of the community to find out more, hear their stories and get a little deeper into the fabric of life around the school. In this episode, our very first episode, we speak to Mr. Keith Metcalfe, Headmaster of Malvern College, and he talks about boarding life in the school, the academic focus of the school, the benefits of teaching as well as being headmaster, and how Malvern College equips young people with skills to help embrace the opportunities and challenges of life. But we also discover Mr. Metcalfe's favourite time of year, so stick around until the end to hear when that might be. But in the meantime, come with me as we step into this conversation.
Keith Metcalfe, Headmaster of Malvern College, thank you for joining us today. Now, Malvern College was founded in 1865 as a full boarding school, and boarding is very much at the heart of the school even now. How do you maintain that home away from home environment for all the pupils?
So we are very much predominantly a boarding school, and that's the ethos that you get here, even though not all our pupils are boarders. We have a small proportion of day pupils, but they all join a boarding house. So whether you're a full boarder living here the whole time or whether you're a day pupil coming in each day, you all join a boarding house. And that means that we've got a big school, 650 in total, is broken down into 11 smaller schools, if you like. And each one of those schools has got pupils all the way from year 9 when they come in the FY, the foundation year, all the way through to year 13, our upper 6th before they leave. And you've got the senior pupils then can look out for the little ones, the younger ones, joining with the staff team as well. And if you're a day pupil, you can come at any point in the day. So, well, not any point. You come in the morning and as early as you want. I think that's what I should say. And they often come in for breakfast. I'm not sure they're supposed to be in for breakfast, but it's usually a good cooked meal to start the day. And then they that's their home for the day. That's where they go into and out of all day. So whether it's break time, coming back for toast, whether it's at lunch, having lunch in the house, getting changed for sports and activities, picking up books for other lessons, that's all done in the house. And then in the afternoons and evenings as well, that's where they come to. That's where the common rooms are, where they can hang out with their friends. It's where they have supper together. And day pupils can stay for supper. They'll often stay for prep in the evening. They'll stay for activities and not go home until 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the evening when it's really bedtime. And actually, in all our boarding houses, we have a few spare beds so that day pupils can stay the night if they've got a late night, and it means it works for their parents. So it's that creating that boarding ethos for everybody, whether you're somebody who lives locally or not. And that links then through to some of the other roles we have. All our new pupils all have a senior pupil who is their buddy, who looks out for them. And all our teaching staff are attached to boarding houses. So they're tutors, they go in and have lunch in the houses, they meet up with their pupils in the houses, they take them out on social activities together as well. So everything comes back to that house and that creating a community where you know who you are, where you are, you've got your support networks built around the people in the house so that you feel happy, that you're healthy, and then we really believe that's where you thrive as well.
So can you help me dispel any sort of the old school myths of fusty corridors, old buildings, that kind of thing? Presumably it's moved on a little these days.
Well, yeah, we have got the old buildings still. We've got some incredible historic edifices that look great, but on the inside, yes, they're thoroughly modern, absolutely. There have been some drafts, though. With COVID around, we've had the windows thrust open and the doors wide, so there have been some good drafts through them. But in terms of the way we approach everything, it's there are some nice traditions, and you can keep some of those, but everything else is forward-looking and advanced in the way we approach it, whether that's the buildings, and you come in and see some of our classrooms, and yes, old building, but a brand new department with all the technology, all the modern teaching methods that you'd expect. But more importantly, it's about the way we go about our teaching and the way that creating the right environments. It's all very forward-looking. A year ago, when we went into the first lockdown, we went online seamlessly because all our staff, all our pupils had all the right equipment. They'd had all the training in how to use Microsoft Teams, as it was for us. we were able to do that because we were always thinking ahead. What's the best way? Where's education going? And I think if you look through the history of Malvern, whether that was the leading of science in schools in the 1960s, whether it was taking up IB as a way of teaching, taking in girls, all these things have been really positive for our pupils. And even now, we're always thinking ahead. What will our pupils want now? But what are we preparing them for the future and adapting what we do, the way we do it, and the approach that we have. So it's, yes, a balance between some of the best bits of tradition and some of the British public schools have got those great traditions, but it's making sure that they are relevant, that they are appropriate for our pupils.
Tell me a little bit more about academic life at Malvern College.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that every school at the heart has got that academic part. That's why we're here. We have our core curriculum. Our daily timetable focuses on making sure that our pupils get really good exam results, good grades, and our teaching. But we try to make sure it is really, again, forward-thinking the way we approach it. Our Year 9s, our FY, our foundation year, rather than starting GCSE courses a year early, which I suppose you could do, we try to think, what would they really benefit from? So what building blocks can we give them? What skills can we make sure that they have? How can we get them to think curiously and with a sort of an intellectual approach to their lessons? So that Year 9 is given over to making it fun, enjoyable, intellectually stimulating. We've created a range of tasks, cross-curricular, collaborative tasks that they have to do, a little bit sort of somewhere between The Apprentice and Dragon's Den, where they have to come up with ideas, work together, a range of different skills that need to be involved, and then present them to a range of senior pupils and staff to get them thinking outside of the box.
Are there any that occur to you specifically that have been fun?
Probably the best one for me was when they had to produce hand cream and a lip balm. So they actually had to make those. They had to get into science. They had to create the actual the chemicals, mix them up to make the actual item. They had to go over to design technology to design the packaging, make it all work, the artwork. They had to again go to business and finance to work out what their modelling was, to get the pricing right, to make profit. And then they had to do the IT skills to present it to the rest of us. And we had to judge which were the best ones as a senior management team. So it was a really good fun project, and you could see the outcomes from it, not just in terms of the product, but in terms of what they learnt from the process.
Sounds wonderful. You're obviously a very busy man. I also understand that you maintain a teaching role as well.
I came into teaching because I love education and I love thinking that I can help other people do better. So I love it. And it's great to be able to get away from my office, to get away from emails and re-engage with my subject, with my passion as well. And it's an opportunity to engage with the pupils, the department, some of the other staff, as well as through parents, through their meetings and reports. So I do. I love all that. I love embracing new ideas, and I've got to do that. If I'm going to be leading a school and asking people to do things, I think it's really important to be modelling that too. I gave a very mini little workshop on some of the things I've been doing with technology and how I use it, which I don't pretend to be the leading light, but I'm trying to do what I can to encourage others to think, what can they do to advance their way of teaching and the way they do things. I think on a wider scale, I think it's really good just to be really in touch with what is going on in the classroom. That's key, both the relationships that we have with our pupils, but also in terms of the approach to lessons and how to be an excellent practitioner in what we do. And that works really well. And I thoroughly enjoy all those sides. I would say we have a teaching and learning forum where teachers get together with some of the leading pupils and discuss what are the best ways forward for our pupils, not just for teachers as well. And being involved in all those discussions can only help us move things forward, but hopefully it can inspire some of the other staff around too.
Do you find that motivates the staff as well?
I hope so. I hope it doesn't put them off. It seems to have a positive influence, because I'm asking them questions and I'm learning that we've got a couple of great teachers in the geography department who are much younger than me, but they're producing resources, and I love being able to share stuff from them. And I hope, but I've seen that sometimes they've used my resources too, so I take great confidence from that I'm not just a has-been.
It's interesting you say that students also have the ability to feed back. That must be very encouraging on both sides.
Yeah, it's something we keep having to remind ourselves to do sometimes, I think, as teachers. It's very easy to think that we have the answers, but actually in terms of the ways that people learn is different, and different age groups, they're learning new skills, and we talk about the different generations, X and Y and Z and the millennials. And, we all know that actually we are different, and that the skills that we have and the ways that we take things in is changing over time. So it's something I keep reminding myself that I need to be asking questions. And so I meet with the prefects every week, and a regular part of that is trying out. We've had some ideas. How do these work? How are these going to go down? And our prefects will be quite brutally honest sometimes with things, and quite clear as to that will work. That's a really good idea. I don't think that will work. And could you try this? Why don't we do that? And there's lots of things have been tried in the past, and sometimes they haven't worked because it just wasn't the right time for that yet. But just because it's been tried in the past doesn't mean it won't work now. And being willing to try new things and do things differently is key. And actually, they're the ones who are probably more creative and more imaginative than we are.
Yeah. We've talked about the academic side of Malvern College. Tell me a little bit more about the sort of extracurricular activities or co-curricular activities.
Yeah, so we've got sort of two areas. We call one area called the super curriculum, which is all about our academic enrichment program, and that's focused on the pupils themselves, guiding and directing where they want to spend more time exploring ideas on the intellectual front. And they can set up their own societies, lead those, discuss how they're going to research and present their ideas, as well as giving them all those other opportunities to develop those transferable skills that are actually what's going to make somebody successful. Academic qualifications are great at getting you through the door and into the next step, but what will determine how successful you are things like the leadership, the communication, the ambition, the self-awareness that you can develop through running some of these things that you're passionate about. So we've got that side, the super curriculum, which fits in nicely with our core curriculum. But then we've got a huge array of co-curricular activities. And I think it's true to say that most schools like ours, this sort of British public school, has lots of sports and activities and drama and music and things. But what we try to focus on is all the positive, try to intentionally, I suppose that's the right word, intentionally focus on, is all the skills that you can learn through that. Yes, there's healthy bodies and healthy minds, yes, but it's also about the transferable skills, working with others, learning to lead, get on with, serve others in the way that you do things. And there's lots of evidence to say out there, music is incredibly good for your brain, but when you're also trying to direct a house music competition, your house team to enter the music competition, you've got to have a huge amount of skill in terms of bringing people on, encouraging them, motivating them, cajoling them, and it's through doing that, sometimes testing yourself, putting yourself in a position where it's a bit of a challenge, and overcoming those obstacles, that you learn to build that support network around you, to learn from mistakes, and create then a better version of yourself who's more ready to go out into the wider world. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to prepare our pupils to be able to spot opportunities and overcome challenges as they go out into the wider world beyond Malvern.
And do you think it is that all of that makes private education at Malvern College so well set up to equip young people to approach the next stages of their lives?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's that. I think there's other things as well. Yes, there's all those transferable skills and the confidence you can gain by there's so many opportunities, so many small little incidences where you just have an opportunity to test yourself, to push yourself, to develop those skills. But it's also, throughout the day, there's just hundreds of social interactions, and life is about meeting other people, working with others, and learning to lead and to serve them. So I think there's that. There's also a lot more time. And I think that's a real benefit to life in a school like this, is that even if you're a day pupil but you come in first thing in the morning and don't go home till late, there's just not that commuting, there's not that sitting in a car or on a train for hours each day, which is, it doesn't have to be wasted, but I'm sure a lot of it is. You've actually got time to spend that time thinking, to working with others, spending time with others, bouncing ideas, trying new things. So that is important with all those other areas. We are fortunate as well in terms of the opportunities. We have incredibly good teachers, and we're able to pick really, really strong caliber, high caliber people. And whether that's actually teachers or whether that's just the other staff that our pupils will interact with. We also have the facilities that allow our pupils to do those things. So we're incredibly fortunate to have those. But in the end, I do come back to that point. It's those other activities as well as the core curriculums that make our pupils successful as they go out into the wider world.
Well, I'm going to ask you a fairly strange question now, but as headmaster, I do hope that you've got one of the better rooms in one of those beautiful buildings. What can you see out of the window right now?
I am incredibly blessed with rooms. I think I've got one of the best headmasters' studies in the country. So at the moment, I'm looking up to the Malvern Hills, so areas of outstanding natural beauty. We've got 250 acres, and I'm just looking right up. There's blue sky, some scudding white clouds over the top of the hills. That's on one side. If I look out the other window, I'd be looking out over the cricket pitches, over what we call the triangle, which is sort of an area of it's sort of oak wooded grassland, parkland, and then down to the cricket pitches. So from my window in the summer term, I can hear the boys 11 or the girls 11. I can hear that sort of leather on willow, and know that if I can just finish this meeting off now, I can get down and watch a few overs of that. And then that looks over the Severn Plain. So we're in a wonderful environment here, and particularly over the last year, when I've had friends in urban schools. We've got such a great place. We've been so fortunate in terms of the environment that we're in here.
Wonderful. And another question for you: what's your favourite time of year?
So a normal teacher would say that the last day of the spring term, because you've got more days ahead of you of holiday than you have of teaching. That's the wrong answer for a headmaster. So my favourite time is really hard. I think I love the sense of the September start as things get going, as you've got your new pupils, sometimes a few new staff, and there's an energy and an optimism, and that there is a hint of that boarding school smell as well that just comes, and that September the air is often warm from the summer, and the playing fields are looking great and activities, and there's an energy and enthusiasm about the place, and there's excitement about we often have. That's when lots of our major house competitions start. So the house singing competition gets underway, some of the house sports get underway, and that sense of building something is really exciting. So probably for me it's actually the start of the year, and who knows what that year will hold. And you know that full well you're starting off with a new group of prefects, for example, for me and the senior leadership team, working with them, and you know that by the end of the year they're going to be transformed. I had a parent tell me the other day that you've just transformed my son. I gave him to you a year ago, and he's just come and he's changed, and I don't know what you've done, but you've given him this energy and this enthusiasm to make a positive difference, and that all starts in September. So that for me is the best time.
Mr. Metcalfe, thank you for your time today and for telling us a little more about the delights of Malvern College.
So that was direct from the headmaster's office at Malvern College. Thank you to Mr. Metcalfe for talking to us today. Now, if you'd like to get to know the school even deeper, then don't forget to check out Malvern College on social. Whether it's Twitter, Instagram or Facebook, just search Malvern College. Now, you'll have gathered that this is a new podcast channel, and this is episode number 1. So if you know anyone who you think might appreciate listening to this episode, then please share it with them. If you're out for a walk or driving right now, then just remember the easiest way to find this channel is to search Malvern College in your favourite podcast directory. And to ensure you don't miss the next episode, be sure to follow and subscribe too. That just means that when the next episode is released, you'll get a small notification come through to you. But until then, thank you for listening to this episode, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.